Hola amigos, in this video we're going to look at common irregular present tense verbs. So you might remember last time that we looked at regular present tense verbs. So that means that all of those verbs follow the same pattern. So if they're an AR verb, they will follow the same patterns as every other AR verb. If they're an ER verb, all the same patterns as the ER verbs, and an IR verb, all the same patterns as the IR verbs. If you haven't watched that video, or the videos earlier in the series about infinitives and conjugations, then it's worth watching those. But we are having a look at irregular verbs, so it means they don't follow all the same patterns. So, for example, the verb ir, that means to go, but I go is voy. So it doesn't look how we would expect it to look. If it followed the same patterns as other IR verbs, then I go would be io, but it's not, it's voy, and we just need to know that. Another verb is hacer, so that means to do or to make. Now if it followed the same patterns as ER verbs, we would expect to take the ER off and add an O. So we would expect acco, but that doesn't work, that's not what it is. It's an irregular, so I do or I make is ago with a G. So there are other infinitives and other verbs that are irregular, and there's no real secret to them, we just have to learn them. But I'm not going to do all of them. I've picked the ones that I think you will use the most. So as we go through the video, pause it, add the verbs to your grammar book, which I keep talking about, but hopefully you have started. So we'll start with this verb, ser, which is to be. There's another verb that means to be, but ser is used for things like, and it's worth writing these down, things like when we're talking about the date, when we're talking about occupation, so someone's job, if we're talking about the time, or in fact, there's a little acronym we can use. So if we're talking about someone's characteristics, so their personality, then we use ser. If we're talking about the time, we use ser. If we're talking about someone's origin, so where they're from, and also relation. So if you're saying, this is my brother, or something like that, then you would use the version of ser, that's to be. So the little acronym you can use to remember it is doctor, okay? That's just a separate point. But the verb itself, so soy, that means I am. Eres, you are. Es, he or she is. Somos, we are. Sois, you all are. And then son is they are. So we'll always be writing the verbs in that order. So if we just remind ourselves, then we will always have the yo form. But remember, we don't need this part in Spanish because the verb tells us who is talking. Two. We've got él, ella, so that's he or she. We've got nosotros, so that's we. We've got vosotros, that's you all. And then we've got ellos and ellas, so that's they. Okay, so pause the video, write that down. So that is ser, that's to be, and that's when we use it. Date, occupation, characteristics, time, origin, and relation. Okay, the other verb for to be is estar. So estar, we use estar, this also means to be. We use this when we are talking about the position of things. So is it under the table? It is on top of the chair, things like that. Location, so England is in Europe, Manchester is in England, we would use estar. Action, so what is someone currently doing? So they are playing. They are there, we would use from estar. Condition, so how is someone feeling? So como estás? Estás, you'll see, that means you are, so that's literally how are you? You're asking someone's condition, how are they? And then emotion, so if you want to say I am sad, you would say estoy triste, so you'll see estoy is I am, okay? So that one the little acronym is place. Okay, so that's one to remember. So the verb itself, estoy, I am. Estás, you are. Like I just said, como estás. Está, he or she is. Estamos, we are. Estáis, you all are. And then están, they are. I'll just write these in again. So yo is I, tú, you, él, ella, he or she. Nosotros is we. Vosotros, you all. And then ellos, ellas is they. So pause the video and write that one down. Okay, our next verb that we might use quite often is tener, which is to have. Now, you'll have seen this verb right from some of the first phrases that you learn in Year 7 or whenever you started learning Spanish. So we've got tengo, that is I have. Tienes is you have. Tiene, he or she has. And then you'll notice that here we've got the tien, but then it goes back for the we form. So tenemos, that is we have. Just make that a bit clearer, that's an M. So tenemos is we have. Tenéis is you plural, so you all have. And then tienen is they have. Okay, so pause the video, write that down. Puedo comes from the verb poder. Puedo means I can. So the verb is poder. It's to be able to, like to can, but that doesn't make sense really. So to be able to. So we've got puedo, I can. Puedes, you can. Puede, he or she can. So we'll notice it's irregular because it's not podo or podes, it's puedo. So we've changed this middle part. But then for we, it changes to podemos, so it does look a bit more like the verb. And then you all, we've got podeis. And then they can, we've got pueden. So pause the video, write that one down. Okay, next one, I mentioned this in the example, hacer. So that is to do or to make. Let's just make that hacer. So that's to do or to make. So you might remember that hago was I do. And then this one follows the rules. Really, it's only the first one that is irregular. It follows the rules for ER verbs for the rest. So we've got haces, hace, hacemos, hacéis, hacen. Okay, and remember these are always in order. So you, I, you, he, she, we, you all, and they. Okay, we've got 4 more verbs that we're going to look at. So one of them I mentioned already. We've got ir, to, go. You might already be familiar with this, but it's a really important verb. So voy, vas, va, vamos, vais, van. So that's I go, you go, he or she goes, we go, you all go, and they go. So it's really, really important that we can talk about other people, not just ourselves, because it makes the work much more interesting and it's less limiting. If you can only say, I go to the shops, I go to the football stadium and things like that, then you're not really going to be very interesting or do very well. So you want to be able to talk about other people, so you can say, we do things or you do things. Okay, querer, that verb means to want. So again, you will probably know one of these anyway, just from sort of set phrases. So quiero, that is I want. quieres, you want. Quiere, he or she wants. So you see, it's not quiero, it's quiero. So that's how it's irregular. But then, like with some other verbs, for the we, it goes queremos, queréis. So we've gone back to this, just a QUE. But then for they, quieren. So that is querer. That's an E there. Okay, and then last two verbs. So we've got pensar, which is to think. So we've got pienso, piensas, piensa. So instead of pence, it's not penso, it's pienso. And then before I write this, just say to yourself, what do you think is going to happen with the we form? So what's going to happen is it goes back to this pence. So we've got pensamos. Same with the you all. So pensáis. And then for the they form, what do you think is going to happen? Yep, it's going to be piensan. So it goes back to this PIE. Okay, then the final one, which is useful, is jugar. So that means to play. And again, you'll probably know that juego means I play. Then we've got juegas, you play. Juega, he or she plays. Then again, the we form, you might be able to guess what's going to happen. Jugamos. Jugáis is you all play. And then they play is juegan. So even though the verbs are irregular and they don't quite follow the same patterns as the others, some of the irregulars do have this similarity where this part will change for the I, you, he and they forms, and then it will stay the same for the we and you are. So here we've got jugamos, jugáis, and the verb is jugar. So even though it's irregular, there is still a slight pattern that might help you remember it. So those are the ones that I think are the most useful. There are others. The best way to find them is have a look online for a list or in a textbook or something like that, or ask if there's a verb that you're not sure if it's irregular or not. Then just have a go at using it, and if it's in a piece of writing, then I'm sure your teacher will tell you if it's not right, basically. So, hope you found that useful, and if you haven't, then have a look at the other videos because they're also really good. I've done another video that's about how to revise these, so now we've done a few videos about different tenses, well, in the present tense. It's useful to go back and have a look at those. Okay, thank you very much. Adios.